to this happy place, welcome.
Hey guys, it's Tim.
Who's Tim?
Who am I? Who are we?
It's been a while since I've heard this little intro.
This little ditty.
I was going to say ditty.
This little ditty song.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Dreaming of Disney podcast, episode 104.
Woohoo! I feel like we were at one.
I think we hit 100 like 3 months ago. And
yeah.
and we're slowly getting back into it. I'm with my beautiful wife, Audrey-Ann.
Hello.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it happened. You know what? We've never gone this long.
No,
we've never gone. I think it's been a month, I believe.
I think so.
But I don't want to be like one of those people. We're so busy. Everybody's busy. Like we're not busier than any other. Well, we might be busier than someone that like doesn't have kids or only has one kid because we have 4. But lots of people are busy, and whatever. But it's just been,
you gotta have extra busy.
Extra busy, just hectic, a little hectic the last like month, and so it's
things
just like
are changing like last minute. Like, oh, now we got to go here, but now that we, that means we can't record a podcast. But those other things are more important.
Yeah, things came up. Yeah,
and it's like, you know what, podcast is the podcast,
and it was a hobby.
It's a hobby. It's a hobby.
So,
but we're glad to be back. We're glad to be speaking to you. Wherever you may be listening to us. Maybe
how's Germany?
That's right. Germany was like faithful.
We probably let Germany down by not posting as much. I'm sorry, Germany. Are you still around?
For our new listeners, we had a faithful listener in Germany. Who would, when I look at the statistics for the podcast, Germany, this one town in Germany was always showing up each and every week. So,
hey, Germany, we're still here.
We're still here.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. So this week's podcast is all about Tianos.
It's a different version.
It's the Italian version. Deep dish pizza.
Ooh.
Tiana's Bayou Adventure at the new Bayou country.
That's right.
Next to New Orleans Square.
It's going to take me a while to call it that. I'm going to call it Critter Country and Splash Mountain for a very long time.
Yeah. So we're coming to you a day late than what we usually record on or release on. But that's because of our guest. She was available on this day. So we accommodated.
Yes. We haven't had a guest in a very long time.
In a long time, since TJ from Disney World is awesome.
Oh my gosh, has it been that long? Now, she is a recurring guest. She has been on the podcast before. We are talking about Bethany from Moms with Magic Plans.
Yeah.
So if you, follow us, I talk about Moms with Magic crowns a lot. There's also Moms with Magic, which is Bethany and Haley. They're best friends, love Disney. Haley makes crowns. Bethany is a Disney travel planner.
Yeah.
And so she got to go and ride on Tiana's. So
before anybody else, well, not before anybody else.
She was the very first person
before Bob Iger.
Did Bob Iger ride it?
I'm sure he did. But
what if he's scared of the drops?
Bob Iger's scared of. He's scared of drops, so he doesn't ride the big rides.
So he's not gonna.
Just tell me about it. I'll take your word for it. No, she was able to ride it during the Magic Key previews back in October or November 1st.
It started in October, but yeah.
And so with Tiana's officially opening last Friday on the 15th, that'd be great to have her on, get her reaction from it, what she thought about it, and some tips on how you could score a virtual queue to ride it this season at the Disneyland Resort. So why don't we go grab her and bring her on the podcast?
Okay.
Here she comes.
Let's get one thing straight.
I'm just a sucker for Disneyland.
With friends.
Joining us is Moms with Magic Plans. Bethany, welcome to the podcast. We had you and Haley on, gosh, how long ago was that?
It was probably around, I'm like a few months, right? Or like,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
well, no, it had to be after
It was after.
Splash
It
Mountain.
was after Splash Mountain.
because we'd
Right.
already met you. So
Right, exactly.
Okay,
I remember. It was in the summer, I think, right?
I think
Probably
so. I don't think it was too long after that. I feel like it was like a few
Yeah.
months after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me back. I'm so excited to talk.
For sure.
You know, it's like coming full circle, right? We met
Yeah.
on the last day of Splash, and now here we are to talk about Tiana's Bayou adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So a little bit of background information for those who may have not listened to us back then. We met you, Haley. We did the whole podcast Mics for Magic for the last day of Splash Mountain, which was kind of raising money for the Chalk Foundation. And so we all, big group of us Disney fans, got together, sent Splash Mountain off with a splash.
I felt that coming, and I was like, "You should stop it."
Yeah, too late. And so we met you there, and with the rest of the group. And
I just want to mention
okay, go ahead.
that I want to take credit for capturing
That's true.
your last splash.
Absolutely.
On Splash
Yes.
Mountain.
Yes. You take all the credit. And that
Like-
photo is so good. Like
It was,
we were so nervous to be wearing our crowns, our light up, like wired
yes,
when we were gonna potentially get wet. But it was so worth it.
but it's a great picture.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So now, like you said, full circle. We're back. Over a year later since that happened. November 15th, which if you're listening to this this comes out tomorrow, which is Tuesday, that which was last Friday, which was the opening day for Tiana's Bayou adventure, a whole new retheme of Splash Mountain. A lot of people have feelings about it, about the whole thing, but that's another topic for another day.
Yes.
But you, being a Magic Key holder, got to do the Magic Key previews before it opened it up to everybody else. So I thought it'd be great to have you on, kind of get your reactions, any tips that we may have. Since that's another thing, you are a Disney travel planner. So if you ever want to get your get a vacation plan through you, we'll make sure that everybody has all your contact information on social media.
Oh, thank you. That means the world. Yes.
So,
I love helping people plan their vacations, and I got all the tips for Tiana. So yeah, let's dive in.
So kind of take us through. I mean, there's no standby lines. We'll start off with that. So it's only through virtual queue. Kind of explain that how that works.
Yeah. So basically, you either want to be ready to join the virtual queue, or you can purchase Lightning Lane Multipass, which it is included as one of the attractions on Lightning Lane Multipass. So either one of those options you can do. You can also do both if you want. If you want to purchase Lightning Lane Multipass and book it as a return time, I recommend doing that as your first one because it has been booking up pretty quickly. And then, if you're going to join the virtual queue, just make sure you have a Disneyland reservation. You can join it at 7 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m. You really just need the Disneyland reservation or a park hopper ticket just to make sure that you can get that virtual queue. So if you have a park hopper ticket and you're starting a DCA, you can join it either at noon or 4 as long as you're scanned into one of the parks. But yeah,
and that's something new, having 3. They've never had 3 before. It's only been usually Disney World has 3 if you're doing like the deluxe hours.
Right. Yes.
But
exactly.
this is a first for Disneyland.
So you don't have to be, so if it has a 7 a.m., you don't have to be in the park yet then because it's not open.
Yeah, but you can't really be in the park at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
It takes us back to the stressful days of Rise of Resistance where you had to be inside the park.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody sitting on Main Street trying to get that reservation.
Yes. Oh, what a mess. Yeah. So at least, that 7 a.m. one, you can be doing it from bed or, you know, in your hotel room or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been really tricky to get those virtual queue reservations. It's been really competitive. Especially during the Magic Key previews, because all the Magic Key holders are like experts at getting virtual queues.
Yeah.
So it was really, really competitive. But yeah, from what I've heard, I was there also on opening day. So on the 15th when it opened, but it was just, I wasn't necessarily going for that. We were just going to meet up with some friends, enjoy the Christmas, festivities and all of that. But from what I heard, it was still just as competitive trying to get those virtual queues, and the Lightning Lane sold out almost immediately. And then the ride didn't even open until like 11:30.
We saw that. We're like, ooh.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, that's so embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's disappointing for like people that went, opening day, getting there early, got a rope job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it doesn't
but
matter.
Honestly, in November, it's cold here,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't want to be doing that at 8 a.m.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that. I was like, kind of an interesting, time of year to reopen because it's like, but I mean, people will go on it anyway. But so when did the Magic Key preview start?
Those started back in October. So October 21st, I believe, was the first date that they were offering Magic Key previews. And I tried to get one on October 23rd and was not successful. So then we tried again on November 1st. And both my husband and I were trying to get the virtual queue and he got it. So I was like, okay, at least we're going on it. And it was not the like early morning virtual queue drop that we got because we had a DCA reservation and it was the day after Halloween. So, we were moving slow. So we did the noon virtual queue and that was before they had 3. And so we were lucky enough to grab it and it operated really easily, really smoothly for us. We were actually a backup group for the virtual queue, but we still got called at about 3. And we got in line. We waited in line for 20 minutes and then we got on the ride.
Oh,
so
nice.
It was very, very easy.
Yeah.
But that is one thing that kind of differentiates the virtual queue versus the Lightning Lane. The virtual queue is going to be basically the standby line, but you have to have the virtual queue in order to get in line. Whereas the Lightning Lane, you're going to bypass a lot of the queue. So you might miss some fun little details that are in the queue that Imagineers, sprinkled in there. So, yeah.
Another tip that I saw is that you cannot have multiple virtual queues at the same time. So, because Haunted Mansion is also on virtual queue right now, so you can't be in 2 virtual queues at the same time. Correct?
Really? I'm trying to think because I know Hannah had a virtual queue for Haunted Mansion. Maybe she didn't have it for Tiana. Oh, she did the Lightning Lane multipass. That's what it was. Anyways, yeah, it's very possible. But the tricky part with that too is the World of Color is also a virtual queue.
Yeah, it's that one's it doesn't count towards.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was like that one can't count because that's not an attraction.
So from what Disney says is that you can only have one at a time. So you can't get the next virtual queue until you've scanned in and in the line for that attraction.
Yeah,
So-
man, they're making it so tricky.
Yeah. So from what I've read is like if Tiana's is your priority, get that one first.
Yeah, definitely. Because Haunted Mansion, it hasn't been filling up. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but there have been some days where it's filled up, but most of the time, like I got in the Haunted Mansion virtual queue at like 5 p.m. And that's with 2 drops. Like one at 7 and one at noon. So
Well, there's nothing new about that, right? Like they're just
it's just that you can't wait in line for it.
So like
because of the construction. Yeah.
So the majority of people are probably going to go for Tiana's because it's new, where Haunted Mansion is
For sure.
nothing new about it.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So then going into writing this, were you excited about the retheming?
Yes. Yes. I do have, a little bit of the nostalgia. I remember going on Splash when I was a kid. I think I went on the one at Disney World exclusively though, because I was terrified of the drops once I did it. And then I didn't go on the Disneyland version until I was like an adult. But yeah, so I have the nostalgia, the Zippity Doodah song, all of that. But honestly, as far as like the movie behind it, right? Like I don't have any attachment to that. I didn't even know that it was based off of a movie until they announced the Tiana retheme, honestly.
Sure.
Like I just never really thought about it. And yeah, so I was thrilled that Tiana was going to get the love that I think she deserves. And what better location too, with New Orleans Square being right there for Disneyland. I just feel like it fit perfectly. So I was always very excited for this retheme. I know that there's been, a lot of negative energy out there, just about any sort of change that comes to Disney parks. Right. But yeah, we were all very much looking forward to it.
Did you, cause we've watched, because normally I like to be surprised. I don't want to know anything, but for this one, for some reason I wanted to. So we watched the ride through from Disney World. Had you seen that, or were you going into it like not knowing anything?
I don't like spoilers. So we went into it completely blind. I knew the special spice song because I was at D23 and it was playing everywhere. Right. So I knew that song, and I had seen glimpses of what they had posted on social media as far as Tiana's dress. I think they had Tiana's dress out at D23 also. So I had seen bits and pieces, but I didn't truly know what I was going to experience. So it was really fun to go into it fully surprised, because there is a fun story element. I don't know if you want to get into that or give spoilers.
We say there's a spoiler and you don't want to listen to the next little bit.
I'd say just skip this whole episode, really. Just skip the episode.
Thing about Tiana, don't listen to this episode.
Yeah, no, I say this is a spoiler heavy episode. So yeah, just kind of go into it. What was, you're walking through the ride. What are you seeing? What are you experiencing?
So the queue really starts the story. The story, which I'm not sure if it's the same at Disney World, because like I said, I didn't do any spoilers, but at Disneyland, the premise is that Tiana's Foods is this brand that she has created, and she has built it within an old abandoned salt mine. And so as you're walking through the queue, you see her garden, and then you see her kitchen. And then in the kitchen, there's a chalkboard that says, all of the checklists of things for this party that Tiana is throwing in honor of Mardi Gras. And the one thing that they need is the perfect band, right, to play for the party. And so when you board the log, the story, I guess, is that you're going on this journey down the bayou to find a band for the party. It's not super obvious. I will say that, you do have to kind of look for those things to tell you the story. When we got off, I was like, well, that was super cute. And then I started looking into, the story and whatever, through different social media posts and the content that I was seeing, that I was allowing myself to watch, and I was like, oh, they were looking for a band. That's why, because, you hear Lewis say something about he's looking for something as you it's one of the first characters that you see. He's looking under a tree, I think it is, or something. And I was like, oh, that's okay. He's looking for something apparently, and then you kind of head into you do the first outside drop, and then you head inside. And yeah, it's really cute. All the animatronics look phenomenal. It's amazing. So, a certain point, you end up shrinking down. It's after the second drop, the like up down drop, the inside
the
one,
best one.
Drop.
The
the
best
one that gets you soaked. Yeah.
I love that drop.
That's when Mama Odie is shrinking you down to frog size to then look for the band, because I guess you need to be a frog to find it. And everyone is, everything is much bigger. And it just, I thought it was so cute. I'm looking around at everything, and I look at my kids and I'm like, oh, we're frogs now. How exciting. And they were like, oh, cool. It was so cute. And it was so fun for that to be a surprise for all of us. And then as you come up to the final drop, this is my favorite part of the attraction, I think. And it's just because I was so traumatized from Splash.
Yeah.
As you're like coming up the hill and it's like, oh, you're going to die and it's awful and doomsday, it is Ray singing his song and then Mama Odie saying, oh, we're going to get you back to human size and all these pretty lights. And it's so festive and I like it a lot better. And so you climb up into these beautiful lights that are shining down, and then you go down the drop, and then you get to go to the party, basically, at Tiana and Naveen's house. So I thought it was just really cute, really fun. And yeah, I was amazed by all of the technology that they were able to fit in that mountain,
Yeah. I mean, the last time that we went, obviously the last day.
Oh, you mean on the ride?
On the ride. Yeah.
Not.
Splash Mountain was in rough shape. It was
so dark.
It was, the lights were out. Half the animatronics weren't working. Yeah. I mean, I think part of it was just like, they're like, we're changing this. We're not going to fix it. What's the point?
Yeah. Why, why go down for maintenance?
Yeah. But it needed some friend. I mean, even I can't remember the last time that I actually went through like the regular standby line of Splash Mountain.
Oh yeah. We always
did the lightning lane. But I think when we did go through it, it's just kind of like a line. There's no like story to it. It's just kind of like you're kind of weaving back and forth between the queue and everything.
Well, kind of like you were saying, you didn't know the story of, Tiana's. It's like, did anyone really know or pay attention to the story of Splash Mountain? Because like a lot of people didn't know that it was based on a movie. And if you eventually did, you probably hadn't seen that movie. Right. And so it was just kind of like, there's just like animals, and then this box is going to like kill the bunnies, right? Or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I always struggled with how to even pronounce the Brer Fox, Brer Bear. I was like, I don't understand this. Yeah. I remember that as a kid. Yeah. But yeah. Totally.
So one thing that I've seen on social media, a lot of people have been saying this. How wet did you get? Why
are people so fixated on this? I don't understand. I've been seeing the same thing. That's like the
people are getting like
question.
full on like dunked in water.
Well, I had on Splash Mountain before.
I guess part of it is me. I always get put in the back. Like every single time I get put in the last row, and I hardly ever get wet.
Yeah, if you're in the back, you're pretty safe. You've got 5 other people in front of you to take the brunt of the tidal wave that's coming over the boat.
Yeah.
I got soaked on Splash like almost every time. That's why. Do you guys remember we wore shower caps on the line? Splash? Because it was chilly that day.
Yeah. Yes,
it was wet. So we had ponchos and shower caps. It was mostly just, for the joke of it, right? But like, it was nice to not be soaking wet coming off that ride. And I mean, I remember one summer where it was ridiculously hot, so I didn't mind getting drenched. And it was, and I was like in either the second or the third seat, and I was literally dripping head to toe when I got off the ride. So I don't think that it's any different than what Splash was.
Okay.
But a lot of people are saying that that they're getting significantly more wet on Tiana's than they did with Splash. A lot of people are saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see like what the back. Oh, where were you sitting when you rode it? Do you remember?
So we put my son in front, and then my daughter in front of me, and then me. my husband, and then there were two girls sitting behind my husband. And we all had ponchos on just because, again, it's November, and
yeah.
it's chilly. And we didn't know like when we were going to get to go on it. And it was like right before it got dark. So we were like, we do not want to be freezing cold.
Yeah.
I did have changes of clothes if we needed them, but it was just better and
like
easier to throw.
Yeah.
Right? It was just so much easier to have those ponchos. So we threw them on, and we got very wet. Like my son, his legs were pretty wet, being in the front, you know?
Yeah.
And I always like suck my knees in and try to keep my feet up because I don't want my shoes and my socks to get drenched. But the girls in the back had like a couple splashes on them. So they were fine. So I think it does depend on like where you are on the boat. I also think it depends on if there's kids in the boat.
Yeah.
Because if there's not, then it's going to be heavier, therefore a bigger splash, right? So
I think
it depends.
Big part of it is when you see these videos on social media, it's a boat full of adults. And so, you know, when it hit, you know, you're going faster, you're going to get more water.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like, I mean, that's what I've seen. It's like more people's like, oh, getting way more drenched on Tiana's than on Splash Mountain. So I was just curious.
Yeah. In my experience, it was the same. I mean, I did get splashed, but I didn't see the wave come over the sides like I had seen it do on when it was splash. But again, I wasn't in the front. So yeah.
It's probably the same.
It's probably the same. So,
unless they added more water, I don't know.
Yeah. I know you haven't gone on the Disney World version yet.
No.
But if you had to choose between the Disney World and Disneyland, one is 2x2, you sit next to somebody, and then Disneyland is single file, which version do you prefer?
I would always prefer the sitting next to somebody because, like I was saying, it freaked me out as a kid. I still get anxious on the drop. So it'd be nice to be able to like sit next to my kid because my daughter, you know, obviously she's tall enough to ride, but it's still, I don't know. I just always like to have my arm like hooked on her. Right.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to be able to have her next to me. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I feel like it's pretty much the same. I've heard that there's, I guess, more dead space on the Disney World version. And so people were upset about that. I don't see how that could really negatively impact the ride, though. I feel like people are just kind of looking for things to say about it, right? Like the story is really cute. Like I said, the technology is amazing. It's like you can see the lights are on. I mean, it's great.
From just the not walk through, ride through that we watched from Disney World, like the lighting looked beautiful. Like,
I know.
Yeah. I was like, that looks really cool.
I mean, just seeing like the decorations at night itself, how they've really improved upon the outside of it compared to what it was with Splash Mountain. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited to see it. And that's coming from someone who I was not excited about the change. Nothing against Tiana. Splash Mountain was just one of my favorite, you know, if not my favorite. Yeah. And so, but I'm still like, I'm excited for the refresh, and it looks beautiful. And so, yeah.
Have you guys been on the Disney World version?
No. We just watched it. We've been on Splash Disney World, but not.
Sure. Yeah.
But I liked Disneyland better for Splash Mountain, but also that was what I like grew up with and was my favorite ride. And, but I can see what you mean. Cause I remember the first time, was Boston our first to go on it or Noah? I don't know. But when Boston went on it, he was like 4.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, we were in Disneyland, you know, and just wanting to like reach around and being really nervous. I'm like, okay, he is tall enough, but like,
there's no seatbelts.
Being an adult, like you still feel like you're going to fall out of it when you go down because there's nothing holding you down.
Yeah. Well, does Disney World have a lap?
It does. I believe Disney World has a lap bar.
I think
it does.
I know it's 2-seater, but I can't remember
Yeah.
if there was a lap bar.
I think it does. Don't quote me on that though.
We've only been on it once.
Yeah.
'Cause it was
Once?
closed.
No, we've been on it
No,
twice.
just once. Because it was
Just a-
closed when you and I went. It was
That's right.
they were redoing it. It was closer to being done.
Yeah, because we
Because
went
it was
this
in
year.
February.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it opened there over the summer, right? I think.
Yeah.
So
I don't think our kids are going to listen to this, are they?
Oh no.
I don't think so. I don't think they've listened. I don't think they've listened
They're
to.
in bed right now.
I don't think they've listened to one of our episodes in a long time.
But we breaking news. We are surprising them with a Disney, maybe pretty sure, Disney World trip in February.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's such a good time to go too.
Oh, that's the last 2 times we went where it was in February, and the weather was great.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna be the first time we were gonna ride this is actually in Disney World,
Yeah.
not in Disneyland. So,
Yeah.
but
So we're going to
cool.
tell them we're going to Disneyland because we always go in February. But then when we wake up, we're just going to be like, we're just going to drive to the airport.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
That's
How
the
exciting.
plan.
that's a plan. We'll see.
I'm still not like, it could change. I don't want to get anybody's hopes
If for
up.
some odd reason our oldest Jack decides, hey, I want to listen to your latest podcast. No, you can't listen to it. It's not good.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Don't listen to
Yeah.
it.
But I thought of something else for Tiana's, and now I can't remember. Go
So
on.
1 out of 10, what would you rate it?
I'd probably give it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It does feel like there's a lot about it that's very splash still. So like
Okay.
the salt mine, that's quite a convenient little entity to kind of not have to do much with the queue,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the part like right before you're loading into the boat. Honestly, like all of it is the same. It's just refreshed, and then they threw in a garden in this area. The outside of the building is painted. They have the murals. They have her kitchen, and then some things on the walls. Everything's painted and refreshed, but it's all very much the same. The ride itself also very much the same, just different characters, right?
Mhm.
So, and then obviously they upgraded all of the technology so that like the lights work, and then there's a bunch of screens everywhere that are totally new, that were not there before. But overall, the ride system is exactly the same. The ride vehicle is exactly the same. Even the part which honestly, this isn't a huge thing, but it was actually like the one video that I saw before going on it is that after you go down the big drop and then you circle back around, that section, they didn't change anything about it. It looks exactly the same. And I was like, what the heck? You'd think that they would make it look more like a bayou. But then you actually go on it, and during that portion of the ride, nobody's paying attention to what is happening at all.
Everybody's
I
screaming
remember-
because they're all wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, look how wet I got. Look how wet you got.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with what's around you. So I was like, okay, that's really trivial to like think, oh, they did nothing in this area where nobody's going to notice it anyway, right? So
One thing that I miss about Splash is the part after the big drop and they stop you and they show you the picture. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They had the screen there.
You don't remember
I
that?
don't remember that. No.
Yeah.
no.
It was after you went back inside.
Yeah.
So it was after you went through and they were all singing, on the boat and everything. And then right before you got to where you get off of the log, you would stop and
There's a
there
screen,
was a screen
up on
and
the
they would
scene.
show you your picture.
Yeah.
Wow. Was
Yeah.
that at Disneyland?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I know they do that at Disney World with some attractions, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
How funny.
Yeah.
And then they stopped doing that, right? Because it broke.
Probably.
And they were like, yeah, we're not going to fix it.
I do think there was a time where, yes, there was a time. I mean, I don't know if this is the reason, but there was a time where nothing was coming on that screen.
That's true. They would stop you. Like it like props you up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then nothing would be on the screen.
They're like, oh,
and then
it's
they're like,
working.
that's-
So then I wonder if it was,
but yeah. But
no,
anyways.
they can look at it after. It's
Yeah,
fine.
That's
Right.
They don't need to see it now.
Oh, that's so cool.
So before we get into, because I want to talk to you about Disney cruises, because you got a very cool trip coming up. But wait, where was I going with this? Oh, there's been a lot of announcements for new things coming to Disneyland, coming to Disney World. What are you most looking forward to of like the new announcements that came out like at D23?
Well, I don't know. I think the Walt Disney animatronic is going to bring me to tears. Like,
Yeah, that's
so I think
amazing.
that's the biggest thing that I'm excited for at Disneyland. I got to be honest, I was hoping we were going to get a lot more information as to what was coming.
Yeah,
And it kind of blows my mind. Yeah. It's so crazy to me that they didn't announce, Premier Pass. Like, I feel like that's kind of a gimme that you could have announced,
Yeah,
but
that
I
was
think
kind
we
of
were
like
just
an afterthought. I was like, oh, by the way.
Right. But I just remember like the rumors circling pretty shortly after D23, like the logo popped up on the app and somebody caught it or something like that. And yeah, so I was just like, oh, that's so weird that they held certain things back. And it's probably because they were nervous about backlash. About that. So I there's no telling, but yeah, I was really hoping for more for Disneyland just because of, all of the progress that they made with Disneyland Forward. And what I really want is more Disney hotels at Disneyland.
Yes.
We have 3.
Yes.
Disney World has over 30. Like, come on.
Yes.
With
and
like a big,
value.
big price
like
range.
there's like really good price, like value ones that are on property. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm really hopeful that will be part of the project at some point. I feel like they've announced hotels and then they get shut down and then they announce another one and then it gets shut down. And, it's just, I'm hoping that at some point they'll bring another resort to Disneyland.
That'd be great.
Yeah. As far as Disney World is concerned, my son is thrilled that Test Track is going to get a refurbishment, reimagining, because that's his favorite ride, which I was like, that one. Okay. Like we did Cosmic Rewind, kid. What's wrong with you?
I cannot wait to go on Cosmic Rewind again. That is the best ride.
Amazing.
Ever.
It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah.
But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, so he's really stoked about that. And I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. We'll do that for sure. Although I'm bummed because I don't think it's going to be open by the time our next trip comes around. So I don't know. We'll see. But I think the biggest thing is that they're giving Animal Kingdom some love. That's a park that Dinoland needed to go a long time ago. Dinosaur is literally the worst in my opinion. So I'm really excited. And I think it's so fitting that it's going to become like an Indiana Jones attraction.
For sure.
Yeah. I think it's going to be phenomenal what they do in that entire area. So I'm super excited.
Yeah. I think both of us were super excited for the Monsters Inc. land and the roller coaster. I think when that came up on screen, we both were like,
I cheered and I clapped like I was watching a
because
football game.
everybody
Like,
thinks like who watches that movie, like that should be a ride.
well, I remember I went with my mom and my siblings when the Monsters Inc. ride had first opened in DCA. And I remember us thinking like, oh, how cool we didn't know what it was yet, but like when we were on our way, and this was before social media. So like there was no, clues as to what it was. And I was like, there needs to be like some kind of like you're going through the doors and like we're talking about it. So, 20
it's gonna be
years
so cool.
later.
Yeah. That moment, because I was there like in the moment listening to Josh D'Amaro tell us all of these updates. And, we were all on pins and needles and so excited. And the second that he said it was like a dream of his from his childhood, I have chills right now, even thinking about it. And the whole arena went nuts. We were all so excited. Yeah. Yeah. That's going to be absolutely incredible. And again, giving some love to Hollywood Studios, which is, could use it a little bit, right?
Yeah, for sure. There's was a new detail that came out, I think it was this week, about the new Cars attraction coming to Magic Kingdom. That it's going to be the first high-speed trackless ride for Disney.
Wow.
So like think Rise of Resistance,
Rise, but
Runaway
fast.
Railway, but fast.
Oh,
Interesting.
So it's just a rumor right now, but that should be interesting how they pulled that off.
Yeah. I know. Seeing all of the concept art, I was like, how is this? Like, it looks like the people are driving these like off-road vehicles. And I'm like, how's this going to work? Like, that's not going to work. It's like Autopia with no tracks. Like, what?
yeah.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we have some Disney World friends who are like diehard Test Track fans. And they're like, Test Track's the best. I was like, you guys have never been on Radiator Springs Racers.
Seriously.
And they're like, oh, it's too slow. I was like, no, you've never been on it. So wait until they get this right. And they'll be like, Test Track's lame. So,
right?
I don't know what it is
Seriously.
then.
Well, I don't know what it is, but it's Racers takes Test Track any day. And
Oh,
I'll die on that
100%. I
hill.
think Test Track does go faster technically.
It does.
But it doesn't. It hurts.
You go fast in a straight line.
Right.
Keep braking and like
Yeah, the braking. I hope they get rid of that because it's painful. And then you go fast outside and you're not looking at anything. Or there's no like you're just going fast.
Yeah.
You go fast.
Yeah.
It's like I can go on the highway.
So loud.
Roll my windows down and go on the highway.
Like I'm on Test Track.
Don't need to go to Disney World. Just go down the I-5.
If we go to Disney World, just roll down the windows. Like, on Test Track.
Yeah, same thing.
So what was the other thing? Oh, the Disney cruises. So I had thought you had been on a Disney cruise before, but I think it was something else I was thinking of. But Disney they're christening the Disney Treasure tomorrow, Tuesday.
Yay.
And it just arrived in New York Harbor. And so you have a really exciting trip that has to do with the Disney Treasure coming up.
Yeah.
Explain what that is.
Yeah. So the travel agency that I work for, Concierge, was invited to go on the preview cruise of the Disney Treasure. So basically they are offering cruises before the inaugural sailing to the public for travel agents like myself to experience it and, share about it with all of the families that we work with. And yeah, we were thrilled that Concierge was invited. And then I am even more thrilled that I get to actually go on this trip and represent Concierge with 3 other amazing women. We are so, so excited. We're doing a 3-night sailing out of Port Canaveral, and we'll be going to Castaway Cay, which will be very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's basically a boat of travel agents that are just going to experience this amazing new ship for the first time.
How fun.
That's gonna be awesome.
So when is that? When do you get to go?
I leave December 10th, and then, December 11th, honestly. I'm taking the red eye into Orlando, since I'm out here on the left coast, and then spending the day at Disney World on the 11th, and going to try to do the Epcot Candlelight Processional, which I think will be really fun. And then we're going to jump on the boat on the 12th. So
that's
it's coming up really soon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, that's so
I feel like they just came out with the Wish, the other
I know,
ship.
but it's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, because we've been talking about doing a Disney cruise for our anniversary
for
for years,
10 years. I don't know.
And now, but and so we're thinking like the Wish is like the newest one, and so he'll do the Wish, and now they got the Treasure, and they have like 5 more that are coming out. Or
Didn't
something
they
like
announce that like 5 or something?
Yeah, it's nuts. So at D23 they announced, I believe it was 8 new ships.
Goodness.
8.
Which I'm trying to remember if that included the Destiny, because we're getting the Destiny next year in
Oh my gosh.
2025.
Okay.
Another one?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that
Wow.
ship looks incredible too. And it's really interesting because so we have, as of right now, pre the treasure, right? Like the treasure is almost here next month. It'll officially be one of the ships that we can sail on. But as of now, we have the Magic, the Wonder, the Dream, and the Fantasy, and then the Wish. And the Magic and the Wonder are sister ships. And then we have the Dream and the Fantasy, which are sister ships. And now we have the Wish, Treasure, and the Destiny. All three of those are sister ships, just meaning that they are very similar in their size, in what they accommodate, and kind of the design
Got it.
aspect,
Okay.
like the blueprint, if you will, of
Got
what
it.
the ships
Okay.
are. But then the theming in the lounges and the dining rooms and the kids clubs and, you know, all of those things, those vary depending on the ship that you go on. So like the Wish and the Treasure are not identical by any means. But they are going to be similar in size, and you know, if you can figure out your way around the Wish, you're going to be able to do the same on the Treasure. So,
Okay.
yeah, and the Destiny.
Go ahead.
Now, do certain ships go certain places, or do they all? Okay, because I'm like, do they have like a couple of each that go?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know what I'm trying to ask, but
Totally. And that's something that, like, as a travel agent, you have to like study and learn because it changes so frequently.
oh wow,
But generally speaking, the Wonder is over here with California
okay,
for the most part. Although it's going to Hawaii and Australia for a season this year. But so usually the Wonder is out of San Diego going down to Mexico, or during the summer it's up in Vancouver going to do like the Alaskan itineraries,
okay.
which look incredible. And then it does the odd trip to Hawaii and Australia and New Zealand. So that's one of them. The rest of them are in Florida as of right now.
Okay.
Some of them go to Galveston. That port is kind of hit or miss for right now. There have been ships that call New York home or New Orleans, but it just depends on the itineraries and what they're, you know, providing, I guess, for the season. So as of right now, the rest of the ships are primarily out of Florida, and that's, you know, Port Canaveral or down in Miami, so like Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades. So
Okay.
All right.
Because we're definitely, because I want to go to
Castaway
thank you.
Key.
Like my mind's
I keep
so
wanting to say
crazy.
K because
I know I always want to say K too.
It's spelled
K-A-Y.
K, but it's Key.
Yeah,
because
Key,
I
Castaway Key.
have always wanted to go to Castaway Key. So we are definitely
Well, there's a new Disney Island, isn't there?
There is. Well, it's not a Disney island. It's a new Disney destination. They're calling it.
Oh, okay.
And that one is it's a mouthful. It's Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, and it's on an island in the Bahamas, but it's an island that is inhabited by locals
Okay.
that can also access the area, apparently. So it's a little different than Castaway Key because it's not fully private, but it is a Disney destination. And I know that they still have some kinks to work out, it seems like, just with like tree growth needs to happen so that there's a little more shade and things like that. But the big consensus is that it's polar opposite from Castaway Key because it really resonates with the Bahamian culture instead of just kind of leaning into Disney theming really hard.
Okay.
So it's nice to have, you know, there are certain itineraries that only go to those two destinations, but you're not going to like the same place if you're doing both. So it's kind of nice to have that that difference. Yeah.
For sure.
It looks beautiful though. Everything I've seen, it looks phenomenal.
Yeah. Nice.
So is there something specific that you are looking forward to most about your first Disney cruise?
Well, Jungle Cruise is probably one of my favorite attractions, and the Treasure has a lounge that is Jungle Cruise themed. So I'm really excited for that. And it's so funny, actually, too. My family, we are going on the Treasure in April, and we booked this trip, you know, over the summer, like long before I knew I was going to get to go on this preview cruise. So it's really funny that just kind of like the way things worked out. So my husband and I were both like so excited for the Jungle Cruise lounge. And then obviously the Haunted Mansion parlor looks amazing too. So yeah, it's the bars that sold us.
For sure.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And isn't the treasure, is it like more like pirate themed, or am I just making that up? It's kind of like more Adventureland themed. It's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from it. Like, each Disney cruise ship has like a statue in the atrium, which is the big area where you're going to enter the ship, and they announce you and, you know, all of that. So for the treasure, it's Aladdin and Jasmine on the magic carpet. So it's really leaning into those Adventureland vibes, in my opinion.
Okay.
You know, if I had to assign it to an area in a park. Whereas the Wish, I feel like, is more leaning into that like fantasy type, princessy, you know. They have the Frozen dinner experience, whereas the treasure, you have Coco. So yeah.
And the Wish has the Star Wars bar. So that's
okay. So you want to do Star Wars? I want to do Frozen. So
the Wish
may be our way to go.
Yeah, perfect.
So.
Well, we might just have to have you back on, because
for sure.
I think you had even.
Well, when you and Haley did the Burbank studio tour.
Well, no, after she went on the cruise, didn't you message Haley about coming on?
Was it Haley? Maybe it was. It was.
I think you did, and then
she was on the Fantasy back in May with her
that's
family.
Right.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
Right. Yeah. So, so much to do.
We could have you both back on, comparing the two ships.
There you go.
See, I find that so fascinating, you know, just trying to figure out like the pros and the cons. She loved, you know, certain aspects of it. And then I think, you know, there's certain aspects of having like a brand new ship that are really appealing to some people. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't think we're thinking till 2026.
Yeah. So year and a half.
Gather some information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Absolutely.
For sure.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Awesome. Well, Bethany, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us all about Tiana's and then the Disney Treasure. We're looking forward to hearing about your trip coming up. And like you said, you are a Disney travel planner. So how can people get in touch with you?
So you can find me on Instagram. I'm Moms with Magic Plans on Instagram. You can also just send me an email. All of that information is linked to my Instagram. So if you want to direct message me, or there's a link to request a quote, or, you know, my email address is on there. However you feel comfortable to reach out to me. I would love to help plan some magical vacations. And I can do basically any Disney destination, plus some other magical things too, like Universal. So
nice. And these are, you know, this is at no additional charge, right? And so this is all included with everything. So it's not like you're paying more for this service.
Honestly, a lot of times I help people save money because Disney drops promos and we can retroactively apply them to your reservation. And so one of the last promos that dropped, I saved a client like $2,000, like so much that they decided to add a dining plan to it, and it cost them nothing extra. So it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's really fun.
That's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, so again, thank you so much for coming on, and wish you the best on your upcoming sailing, the Disney Treasure. Hope it goes well. We'll be following along, and we'll have to have you back on to tell us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's always so fun to hang out with you guys and talk Disney.
For sure. All right. Well, thanks again. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks.